Traditionally, we've worked in Alzheimer's disease, and we still have a big program there. Namenda, Namzaric are two of our biggest products. We are the world's largest company in Alzheimer's disease. But in addition to that, we have a big effort in psychiatry, in schizophrenia, bipolar, and also depression. One of the drugs that we're in the process of launching is Cariprazine, or Vraylar, which was approved at the end of last year by the FDA for schizophrenia and bipolar mania. We're also in development with that agent for bipolar depression and for MDD, major depressive disorder. One of the exciting things about Cariprazine is some data that was generated in the negative symptoms of schizophrenia. We're working on Cariprazine together with our partner, Hungarian company Gedeon Richter. And outside of the US, they performed a large study in patients with predominantly negative symptoms of schizophrenia. These are patients in which the positive symptoms were well controlled. And they compared the efficacy of Cariprazine, Vraylar, with Risperdal. And we got statistically and clinically significantly better control of the negative symptoms with Vraylar than with Risperdal, something that we find very exciting, because obviously it's a huge need in the treatment of schizophrenia, a huge need to treat the negative symptoms, the inability of patients with schizophrenia to interact with society. Inability to interact, anhedonia, lack of pleasure in the activities of daily living. These are the things that stop schizophrenics taking part in society. We got a beneficial effect on that on the standard rating scales that are used to measure negative symptoms. No antipsychotic has this indication at the moment. So we're in discussions with the FDA about what we should do to see if we can get this as an indication, or can we get it in the label, or do we need to do additional studies. This is an agent for all schizophrenics. We get good control of the positive symptoms as well as potentially good control of the negative symptoms. It does have novel pharmacology in comparison to the presently available atypicals. And this is why we believe we're starting to understand how we can control the negative symptoms. In fact, the safety profile of Vraylar is better than most of the older generation of atypical antipsychotics. And we see a rationale for physicians to move from the first generation of atypicals to some of the newer agents, including Vraylar. In my experience, physicians are very willing to try new agents. We need new agents to treat schizophrenia because no one agent is good for every patient. There's a high degree of switching between different drugs until the patient and the physician finds the agent which is right for that particular individual. So we need to offer the patient and the physician a range of antipsychotics. We believe people will be able to use it for a long time. We have good relapse data with Cariprazine showing that the incidence of relapse is reduced, so we think it's good for maintenance therapy as well as for short-term use, absolutely. At the moment, the presently available agents really treat the symptoms of the disorder. An awful lot of work is going on to truly understand the underlying etiology of schizophrenia. I'm afraid we're several years away from having any sort of therapy which is really going to treat the underlying cause. Because there's no doubt that there is a genetic basis for schizophrenia as well as environmental trigger factors. Unfortunately, I think mental illness in general patients suffering from mental illness have a stigma in society. It is a disease and should be treated as such. It's a disease just as much as hypertension, high blood pressure, coronary artery disease. But unfortunately, patients with depression or with schizophrenia are to some extent looked down upon in society as though it's their own fault. But these are patients suffering from a disease, and they deserve to be treated with respect and treated appropriately. We should always work to overcome that. And everyone involved in treating schizophrenia needs to continue with their efforts to educate the public that schizophrenia, like other mental illnesses, is a disease.